What's up, nerds? My name is Steve from Flipping the Nerd, and this is my top 10 favorite video game movies. I am a huge fan of video games and a huge fan of movies. Unfortunately, those two have not done the best job of merging together as of yet. I think it's a huge untapped market, but for now, unfortunately, they just haven't really hit the nail on the head. My very first top 10 that I did was the video games I would like to see made as movies. Well, these are the top 10 movies that were actually made on video games. And I had a hard time with this list because there really aren't that many good ones. In fact, because there are so few good ones, in my honorable mentions, instead of doing actual video game movies, I'm going to do 6 movies about video games, not adaptations of video games. Just because I didn't know, I wanted to talk about these, but they didn't really fit in this list. So I'm going to do them as my honorable mentions, and then I'll do my top 10 video game movies. The first one's actually a documentary, and that's The King of Kong. I love this damn documentary. It's about 2 guys who are chasing the Donkey Kong arcade record. And you would think that would be kind of boring, but there's a lot of twists and turns, and it's a really cool kind of story, and it's got 2 characters who are polar opposites of each other. You have Billy Mitchell, who's kind of this like villain guy who's kind of cheating to get his code. It's just like this whole thing. And then Steve Wiebe on the other side, this dad, very nice, very quiet, who's chasing the record. It's just, trust me, if you like video games and you like documentaries, you have to watch The King of Kong. The next one is The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie. The very first thing I ever remember watching on YouTube is The Angry Video Game Nerd. James Rolfe is a creator on a channel called Cinemassacre that reviews bad games, mostly from like the NES era, a little bit before, a little bit after. But anyway, he's got it. It's a great channel. You definitely need to check Cinemassacre out. They do great video game stuff, and they also do good horror stuff. So there's both there. And this was the kind of big event of that character, the Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, the movie itself is a little cheesy. You can tell this is more of like an indie student film type thing, but it's worth watching. It's about the review that he had been talking about doing for years, which is E.T. on Atari. And yeah, you need to check out this movie and just support James Rolfe, amazing creator, a very first person I probably subscribed to on YouTube, and someone I still watch to this day. The next one is The Wizard. The Wizard is about a kid who's going to California to play in a video game tournament, and this movie is so quotable. Like it's about the NES, and this other kid, this cool kid, has the power glove, and he says like, I got the power cup and it's bad, meaning it's good. And it's just, oh my god, it's such a great movie. It's got Fred Savage in it, and it was the debut of Super Mario Bros. 3, which is one of the best games ever. So need to check that one out. And we have Wreck-It Ralph, a more recent one, one of the Pixar films. I liked the first one better than the second one, where they go to the internet. The first one is really more about video games. It's about a video game character who's a villain, and he's tired of being a villain, and he visits other video games to try to find his way. It's a great movie, great series. Disney killing it with this character. Is it Pixar? It might not even be Pixar. It might be Disney. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. They're both owned by Disney. It's a Disney film. So Wreck-It Ralph, definitely an honorable mention. Then we have one of my favorite, and that's Grandma's Boy. Such a great comedy about people making video games, and there's just so much about this movie. It's a little childish, but in the best way possible. It really shows you what goes on behind the scenes of video game companies. I work for one. I actually worked on Rock Band 2 and Rock Band AC/DC, so I saw kind of that portion of it, and maybe that's why I think it's so great. And the one who really kills it is that guy who's in Avatar, who plays Norm. Like the geeky guy, he kind of helps the main characters through the movie. He has a great role as kind of the villain developer. It's amazing. You have to check out Grandma's Boy. And finally, Ready Player One, more recent one. Not only is it all about kind of being in this VR world, which I love. I love VR. I'm a huge fan. I'll do a top 10 VR game one time because I really love VR. Anyway, he's in this VR world, and there's a lot of mentions to other video games like Minecraft, Halo, Gears of War. Great movie, directed by Steven Spielberg, based on an amazing book, of course. So, Ready Player One, probably my favorite movie about video games, but it's not a video game movie, and that's what this list is about. So let's get to it. Number 10, Need for Speed. Need for Speed is a car game and is basically a ripoff of the Fast and Furious franchise as far as the movie goes. The game came before Fast and Furious, but the movie is basically Fast and Furious Light. So if you like that kind of action, this movie is actually not that bad. It stars the guy who plays Jesse in Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul, and it's a decent film. I'm not a big fan of the games, so I really went in this with no expectations, and I ended up liking it quite a bit. Not quite as good as Fast and Furious, but if you like that type of film, then this is one for you. Number 9, Final Fantasy Spirits Within. This is a full CGI film. At the time, it looked amazing. It has been dated a little bit at this point, but the visuals when I saw it at the time was really fantastic. There weren't that many movies like this, and it does a pretty decent job of capturing the Final Fantasy spirit. Now, it's not quite as crazy as other Final Fantasy games or anything like that. In fact, if you want something that's closer to the Final Fantasy games, I'd watch Final Fantasy Advent Children, which I considered putting on the list, but I think I liked Spirits Within just a little bit more. Solid story, solid performances in the voice actors, and one I recommend watching. Number 8, World of Warcraft, an achievement in filmmaking, according to Geek Legacy. Shout out to Geek Legacy, they are awesome. So, and they actually got their quote on either the poster or the commercial, I don't remember, so that was awesome. Anyway, World of Warcraft is not something I was ever really into. I stopped playing World of Warcraft after, like, Warcraft 2, but I do appreciate that it's a huge game. Because I'm not a PC gamer, that's why I never played. And so I went into the movie not really knowing the world or the characters or anything like that. I just knew it was about humans versus orcs. It does a pretty good job of presenting those two worlds. Now, there's a lot of world building that is required to see these movies, and I feel that the movie didn't do a great job at explaining what was going on. Maybe it was more fan servicey to people who had played the games, and since I hadn't, I was a little lost. But visually, it's very well done. The characters are pretty likable, especially the orcs, ironically. I do find that the CGI is a bit poor at times. It's weird. The characters are well done, but sometimes the backgrounds are a little muddled. But other than that, it is a little slow and very long, so that goes against it. But overall, I had a fun experience, and I would recommend it. Obviously, it's on my list, so there you go. World of Warcraft. Number 7, Resident Evil. So if this movie had been called anything else but Resident Evil, I probably would have liked it more, because it was a pretty good horror film about a woman who is, she kind of wakes up in this mansion, and it's a whole laboratory, and there's this whole thing with zombies and monsters and all this stuff, and it's a really fun film to go through as a horror film. My issue with it is that it didn't resemble Resident Evil the game enough, and I love the Resident Evil games. It's one of my favorite series. So in that respect, I find that it failed as an adaptation, but as a movie, it is pretty solid, and I do enjoy watching it. So because of that, I put it on my list. I was just sad not to get to see the video game really adapted into the movie, but it is what it is. Still a decent film. Number 6, Prince of Persia. This is a movie I expected not to be very good, but I really enjoyed Prince of Persia. Now, you could say what you want to say about the whitewashing, which is kind of bull, but I'm not judging it on its, on those merits or what it should be or shouldn't be. I'm judging it by the film that was presented in front of me, and it was an enjoyable film. In fact, I'm a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, series as far as video games go. And Prince of Persia did a better, my God, I'm losing my words. It did a better job of doing Assassin's Creed than the Assassin's Creed movie did, which you won't see on this list because the movie was terrible, and it really, really bummed me out. But at least I got Prince of Persia, which was kind of like Assassin's Creed. Same developer, Ubisoft, and I really enjoyed it. It's a fun adventure. It was a lot like Assassin's Creed. I mean, what do you want me to say? So I would recommend this one quite a bit, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Prince of Persia. Number 5. Street Fighter, the movie. This one is cheesy as hell. It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile and Raul Julia as M. Bison. By all accounts, I should not like this movie, but it is so much damn fun. The acting is so campy, but in a good way. Raul Julia kills it as M. Bison. He just really put all of his energy into it. Unfortunately, he passed away right after this, and that's a bummer because Raul Julia is a gem, and he does such a great job in this film. The characters actually kind of look like the characters in a game, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what we want to see. I don't want to see your stupid interpretation of the game. I want to see the damn game put into a movie. That's what I want to see, and Street Fighter kind of does that. So in that regard, this is a great adaptation, and I would highly recommend watching it if you like fighting games, if you like Street Fighter, and if you like just having a good time watching a movie. So yeah, Street Fighter for sure. Number 4. Tomb Raider. The Angelina Jolie one, not the more recent one, which I forget who played something Vikander or something. Anyway, Tomb Raider, the one with Angelina Jolie. I enjoyed all 3 Tomb Raider films. This one, The Cradle of Life, which is the other Angelina Jolie one, and the more recent one that they did, Alicia Vikander, I think is her name. And they were all enjoyable, but I give the nod to the very first one. I really liked Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft. She did a great job at the character, and I really love the Tomb Raider games. I did, especially back then when that movie came out. I mean, I had the poster for reasons. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's a fun adventure. It stars Daniel Craig as the bad guy. You get to see Lara Croft kind of being, sassy, and you get to see her being tough, and you get to see some tomb raiding, and there's just everything you want to see in a Tomb Raider film. And I thought they did a great job at adapting the video game into a movie. So Tomb Raider definitely had to be on the list. Number 3. Rampage, starring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I did not think they could pull off a Rampage movie. I really, really didn't. But here we are with a pretty good Rampage movie. Now, this is a Hollywood blockbuster popcorn film if I've ever seen one. The acting, not that good, but it is just fun. I enjoyed watching every minute of this movie. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when the 3 monsters attack the city, and it's so cool, and the visuals are great, and the characters are just fun to watch. So it's a great romp. Just turn off your brain, enjoy the movie, and you're going to enjoy Rampage as much as I did. Number 2. Silent Hill. Silent Hill is one that I feel that they actually did right. It's a story of somebody who, I don't remember if it was a movie or the video game. I might be confusing the two, but they have a car accident and they have to go into this really dark city called Silent Hill, and all these crazy things happen, and you meet a cop, and it's a really good horror film on its own, and it does a good job of adapting some of the elements from the game Silent Hill. You have Pyramid Head, you have kind of the insane, really horror visuals that the game had. It does a good job of that. My God. adapting Silent Hill, the city. This is a fun film, a great horror film, a great adaptation, and it's everything that I'm looking for when I watch a video game movie. So this one did it right. The sequel, not as good, but the first one, enjoyed it very much, and that's why I made it a number 2 on my list. Number 1, Mortal Kombat. I friggin' love Mortal Kombat. The music, the people they chose as the actors, the way the characters look. Goro, oh my god, Goro is so cool. I just really love the hell out of this movie. It didn't take itself too seriously, but took it seriously enough where they made a solid film. I mean, the music, I said at the beginning, the music is so iconic. If you lived in the 90s, you knew the Mortal Kombat music. It's a soundtrack I definitely bought when it came out. Just absolutely fantastic. Plays really well with the film. It's not just songs for the sake of having songs. The fights are really well choreographed. The characters look like what they did in the games. They made a decent attempt at a story. Christopher Lambert as Raiden was really cool. You get to see a proper Scorpion and a cool Sub-Zero, and Reptile looks like absolute garbage CGI, but it's funny because it's just so bad that you kind of laugh at it. Shang Tsung takes himself way too seriously, and that's really great for this movie. Johnny Cage is great, Sonya's great, Kano's great. It's just, Liu Kang's great. They're all great, and I absolutely adore Mortal Kombat. It's something I watch often, and it's so damn sad that they absolutely ruined it with Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It is just the polar opposite. No fun. Characters are awful, but at least we have this one. They can never take it away. Mortal Kombat is the best video game movie. What do you think of my list? What do you think the best video game movie is? I would love to know. And if you want to see which video games I think should be adapted into movies, I'll put the link below at my very first top 10, which was that list. And that was a list I really enjoyed doing, and actually what spearheaded me wanting to do top 10 videos on my channel, which as I always say, nobody really asked for. Nobody really watches, but I enjoy doing them, so you're going to have to suffer through them for a long time. Next week, I'm going to do something different. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to try it once. I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite Queen songs. It's my favorite band in the world, and since it's a musical list as opposed to a visual list, I don't know how it's going to work, but let's try it out. Why the hell not? So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.